This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Brian Peña. I always join the Vito podcast, the best podcast in the United States.
This week's Tigers Talk podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Tigers Talk listeners can get 20% off the first year of an annual subscription by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. Welcome to the latest, the freshest edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Chirco, alongside my usual broadcast partner in fun. That is the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. Doc, how are you doing?
Always enjoy the conversation, Vito. Spring training is right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers are going to report to Lakeland. So it's going to be a fun time to talk baseball with you in the coming weeks. It's getting closer, Vito. You getting excited?
I am. And you know what? Even though I know the season probably won't be as fruitful and full of wins on a consistent game-to-game basis, I still have to believe, too, that it will be fun watching these prospects grow as the season does go along. And then maybe seeing a guy like Miguel Cabrera bounce back. Guys like that as well, that magnitude. Jordan Zimmerman, does he have anything left in the tank at all? So those kind of storylines are exciting to watch out for as spring training does loom.
Now, if you read the papers, the biggest story, I think, that came about from the last 7 days was the fact that once the Tigers Caravan took place, the Tigers went around town, they had Tigers Fest, and then single game tickets went on sale. And usually what would happen, Vito, is after a couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours of the tickets going on sale, the first game that would sell out would be opening day. Well, it was revealed that when people started to inquire, opening day tickets are aplenty. They're not selling at the rate that people thought, and based upon the projections, there may be a chance, an above-average chance, that opening day is not sold out. And I guess the first thing I'll ask you is it right that a team that's going through a rebuild, is it right for the fans to stay away? Because I at first would say yes, of course it's okay. People are not going to pay their hard-earned dollars if the ticket prices are $20, $25 and above to watch minor leaguers. Nobody in town really wants to see that. And so what makes it difficult is the exact opposite has to take place. In order for a team to maintain its funds and maintain profitability, the fans have to support it. And so I do understand why organizations don't want to go into a rebuild because of the fact that nobody is going to show up. And if opening day occurs in April and it's a cold day and it's not a nice day, there may be several thousand seats that are open. I mean, do you agree with that? And would you buy a ticket maybe in the $30 range to go to opening day knowing that, hey, you know what? This might be one of the rare times I can actually get into the ballpark at a fair price, maybe even cheaper.
Well, now that you paid me with that check, now I have so unlimited funds that I can't afford such a ticket. But for me, I actually already bought, I don't know if I let you know of this, my dad, brother, mom, and I, a 4-ticket and 4-game package, which includes the retirement ceremonies of Alan Trammell's jersey and Jack Morris's jersey. Now, Jack Morris is first, August 12th, Trammell, August 26th. So we've talked about that in terms of the promotional events the Tigers are putting on to get people in the seats at the ballpark this upcoming season. So I'm going to 4 games. Those 2, the games in which those jerseys are retired, plus 2 additional games. And I believe the other 2 are against the Red Sox and the Indians. So 2 marquee-esque matchups, too, included in the 4-game package that I did sign up for. I'm paying, and my dad will give me a little bit of, seed money as well to kind of compensate me. And all this money, though, that I've earned from you, the DOC, goes a long way in terms of me being able to afford such a ticket package, too. So let me show my gratitude via these airwaves, as I did already in a little Periscope that we did via Twitter.
Well, Vito, you earned it, no doubt about it. You are officially the highest-paid sports podcaster in town, and good for you. You deserve it.
Guess it doesn't take too much to be the highest-paid podcaster nowadays. I don't know what that's saying, but I'll take it for whatever it's worth.
So what do you think? Is it right for the fans to avoid supporting the Detroit Tigers this year? Because by all accounts, the Tigers are used to drawing about 3 million fans or so, maybe sometimes at its peak, 3.5, 4 million fans go down to Comerica. And that's how the bulk of a lot of revenue is, shared with the ball club is attendance. And this year, it looks like in 2018, attendance might not even break 2 million, maybe even 1.5 million because of the fact that you got a lot of games, during the week. You got a lot of weekend games that a lot of people, if you just go off of what's going on at LCA, on a Monday night, Little Caesars Arena, the Pistons are on a 3-game win streak, and only 13,000 of the 21,000 capacity seat at Little Caesars show up to see Blake Griffin, and the Pistons were winning. And a lot of people are wondering what's going on with attendance with the Pistons, but people are foreshadowing really poor attendance in 2018.
Well, I think you have to predict that because of the times that we live in, and not to make them sound so dark and, act like it's doomsday here. But with the Tigers, the state of their franchise, they're not at that point where it's doomsday, but they're pretty darn bad in terms of the state that they currently exist in. And it's all about young players, prospects. Do fans at large care about prospects? No. They don't. Now, we do because we're pundits as well. We do this podcast. We have to tune into these prospects and find out what they're doing and care about what they're doing because we have to be able to talk about these prospects, right, in a educational format or style. Others don't have to and just simply don't care about watching these prospects and what they do until they become full-fledged major leaguers. And if they're not good at the major league level, people aren't going to show up to the ballpark this season, next season, the following season, or ever. So it's about these prospects turning out to be something of value as well, which we still don't know about that being the case, right? It's going to take time for us to be able to say these guys have turned out to be something of value too.
But then do you look at it from the perspective of if nobody goes to the ballpark and the team loses a bunch of money, then it's on the owner to then sacrifice and then go out and put out his own money. And so when you look at it and explore, people are saying, well, Chris Ilitch is rich, so he should just pay out a lot of money. But he's also a businessman. And so if the team is not profitable, where does the investment come in that when the time comes, if the attendance is 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, and they're not making any money, how then do they go out in 5 years if they're close? You're basically saying that we have to win with cheaper talent and we have to win by losing a lot and tanking and getting really high draft picks so that in 3 or 4 years, if we're close, we might just be able to add 1 or 2. Do you see the scenario in which that's what's going to happen? Or do you say to yourself, you know what, the fans need to invest in a team. Maybe what can happen is everybody can meet in the middle. The fans go out if the ticket prices are just brought down a little bit. I just feel like the Tigers just haven't really made strong efforts to kind of draw the fan in knowing that it's going to be a bad year. You know what I'm saying? You don't see anything. You don't hear anything about cheaper tickets. You don't hear anything about, beer specials or anything. You know what was the funniest tweet I saw? Somebody asked a reporter in town, should the Tigers do $1 beer night? And I said, oh my God. You know what? No, they'll never do $1 beer night.
They should, but they never will.
What they should do is buy one, get one free night.
Or $2. They won't ever do that. I think even more than $1 beer night. How about a $2 beer night? Or you get a beer like in a mug, like Thirsty Thursday. You go back to your college days and make it like a college theme. You get a bunch of college students at the ballpark for a game, and because you make it like $2 for a mug, and then you go back up and you can refill it. So I guess it's almost what you said about buy one, get one free. I don't know. They would never follow that economic model, but that would be quite the promotion. That would attract a lot of Detroit Mercy students, Wayne State students in the area, don't you think?
Of course. $2, 8 to 12 ounce beers.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, it would be
well, how many college students would they have lit? I mean, think about all the college students that would be inebriated as a result of that, though.
Yeah, the Tigers don't want a bunch of drunk fans showing up to the ballpark,
That's
right?
the best maybe that they can get right now, though.
Well, do you see any other promotions other than bobbleheads, jerseys, hats that people like, that people gravitate towards? I mean, there have been some epically bad ones in terms of disco night or things that have turned out to be really poor. I mean, the one that really surprising to me, and I guess it's really fair that they keep doing multiple ones, is bring your dog to the ballpark night. I mean, do they open it up to maybe bring your cat or bring something else? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Bring your cat to the ballpark. Bring your cat to watch the cats.
Yeah, but you know what? People like myself are allergic to cats, and we don't like cats, so get rid of the cats. We don't want to see those at the ballpark or anywhere in a house or anywhere on planet Earth, honestly, because of how I'm allergic and others are. And it seems like more people have a distaste, disdain, and just hate for cats than for dogs. People love their dogs, and they have those pet dogs, cute ones you can fit into your purse or something. These women carry around these little what do they call those dogs? The small ones. I mean, wiener dogs. I mean, anything that's small enough, these women will put into their purses, and you can bring it out, let it have some fun at the ballpark. You can have the dogs run around the bases maybe, and you don't want them just to poop all over the baseball diamond, though I guess it's the risk you run when you have dogs at the ballpark. But I like the idea of it. I think Petco Park in San Diego started it. I'm thinking, maybe not, but I would think because it's called Petco Park. They did start it out in San Diego. Now, I love that idea, though. I think that's a great promotional event. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of promotions, for me, like I said earlier in previous podcasts, I'm down for bobbleheads. I like the jersey idea. In terms of promotions, though, I feel like Comerica Park is really a great place. So, this year for me, it'd be simple. If they had like $3 hot dogs, $2 beers, if they lowered the price of the concessions, I probably would go out to more games. And in essence, the biggest thing that the Tigers can do is what they really should do. The easiest solution is lower the price of tickets. I mean, $8 ticket, if you can get into the lower sections in the 100s for $8, I'd do it. And I do think that it's going to happen based upon demand. I mean, I bet you for the two of us, we probably could go to a Thursday 1 o'clock game for about $20 total. And I just think that that's what should happen is they should make the tickets really affordable, and they should do a bunch of maybe maybe something that's unheard of is buy 2, 3, 4 games and get 2 or 3, 4 free, where you just get 2 for the price of 1 in terms of tickets. You may have to do that just to draw people in, because if you keep the concession prices the same and you want people just to come in, you might have to give away a lot of tickets and get some people in, and you still make some money through the concessions. The Tigers have to. I mean, the market should dictate, and maybe that's what people are doing is they're saying, enough. We do not want to go out and watch a bad product. We will not commit financially our hard-earned dollar to watch a bunch of minor league players. And do you see a scenario in which maybe the fans with this roster, if they come out to a hot start, is the only way to put asses in the seats right away early on in the first couple months is to maybe be 10 games above 500 just to win? That is really the only way to do it?
That would help out. You need sustained success early on, a hot start like that, 10 to 12, 12 to 15 games, one in a row. Really quick, I wanted to say, are we going to start some kind of collusion amongst Tigers fans to lower ticket prices? We start buying them? Is that what we're going to start here through this podcast?
We should start not buying them.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
You're actually not buying them, so they have to lower the ticket prices. Another way in which you can attract fans to the ballpark would never happen, but I thought it would be a funny way of doing so, not a realistic way. You know what? Just put a keg. Like kegs throughout the ballpark. Once again, for the college student in mind, he or she can just put their mouth by the thing. And how you have a water cooler, but you go and get a refill. You don't even need a cup. You just put your mouth there and get the beer. Now you're ready to go, man. But how many fans would that attract? I told you it's not realistic. It's funny, though. But how many fans, when you get a ton of, they wouldn't even care about the game. They wouldn't even know who's playing. They wouldn't even know the Tigers are playing.
Keg stand Fridays.
Keg stand Fridays, yeah. I'll go.
You go?
I won't be covering the game.
Why not? Keg stand?
I won't know what's going on either. I'll be tweeting out some stupid stuff.
Would you do a keg stand?
I actually can't really do one. Or I would. I wish I could. I can't consume that much alcohol at one time. Even though I like to drink. I drink it and what my friends actually kid me around about is that I nurse my beers. I'm one of those kind of guys. I don't drink very quickly. I can't do a keg stand. I admire people. I have all the respect in the world for those that can do it because I can't. Can't even come close to doing it. I can't chug a beer either. I'm not a chugger.
You cannot?
No, I'm a slow drinker. I've got to sip. I sip away. It takes me an hour or two. Not all the time. But I get made fun of for drinking my beers way too slowly. How about you? Can you chug? Have you done a keg stand? Probably in your college days, maybe way back in the day?
I've never done a keg stand, Vito, but the fastest way to get ballers that are intoxicated is to slam the beer.
Well, yeah. So we would have, imagine all the fans.
Exactly.
If you did that, how many drunk people, the people that work the games, they would hate themselves, wouldn't they? Like everybody would be calling off for those nights. They'd be calling off in advance. Oh, wait, I'm sick. All of a sudden, I got the flu. I'm throwing up really bad. Nobody would be showing up to work. Because imagine just how dirty that place would be at the end of the night.
Man,
it would be crazy, man.
But you saw what Philadelphia did when they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, but they're crazy fans anyways.
If you had a bunch of angry Detroit sports fans at Comerica Park, they don't want that. They don't want a bunch of drunk people at the park.
That's what I mean.
If that happens, the reason why they don't was because
of what we were saying, joking around about.
People would show up on the field. People would do something.
The game would get. We've talked about how the game needs to be shorter.
Yeah.
Imagine how long the game would be.
Exactly.
5 hours. 5 hours. Like dozens of people run into the field.
Yeah. Do you think maybe experiences, maybe, the first 10,000 people get a chance to run the bases or, maybe take a swing at Comerica Park throughout the course of a year. Something maybe where the first couple thousand get to do something fun,
I just thought of something else.
Go ahead.
The first 1,000 guys get a lap dance.
that what you want, Vito?
No, just thinking of stupid stuff that would attract guys. Seriously, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not saying it would attract me or you, but seriously, think about one thing on these college guys. I mean, I would have the greatest. Think about how many college students I would have. Comerica Park would never have seen anything like this before.
Oh, Vito.
Almost.
Yeah, Vito,
it'd be brilliant, but I would get in trouble and get fired.
Yeah,
would I get fired then or the day after?
The optics would be terrible.
Wouldn't
it? The first 4 rows.
Can you imagine this?
No, I cannot imagine it. That's not likely, but it's interesting. All right, Vito, you coming with the ideas.
It went right to the gutter early on here.
Coming in strong. Well, like I said, I do think that we sit here and laugh because of the fact that
it's going to be tough. That's why we're laughing, because we don't know.
It's going to be really tough, for the marketing staff to really just get the fans in. I mean, I feel bad because, you got these sales rep, they're waiting, and ticket sales go online. They're hearing a bunch of this for a couple hours. And this.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Don't their jobs depend upon selling tickets?
Yeah, or hourly.
And nobody's even calling.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they might be getting prank calls from like Howard Stern or us, but they're not getting real calls for tickets right now.
Right. So, anyways, you know what? Before we get to the netting issue after the break, I do want to bring up the non-roster invitees. The Tigers have invited 22 non-roster players to Big League Camp, which starts February 14th in Lakeland, Florida. Among them, Alex Faedo. A couple of the players, the pitchers, Victor Alcantara, Enrique Burgos, Kevin Comer, Alex Faedo, Mark Montgomery, Paul Volcker. Left-handed pitcher Travis Wood. Catchers, Derek Norris, Brian Pena, Arvidsson Perez, Jake Rogers. And rounding out the infielders, Alex Amarista, Harold Castro, Cody Eves, Edwin Espinal, Dominic Fiacello, Nico Goodrum, Pete Kozma, Ronnie Rodriguez.
I like that last one. I thought you might name that guy because now writers are talking about him. Emily Walden, I think, even, and Anthony Fennick brought him up. At least Anthony did. About him seeing PT early on and starting at second base. Ronnie Rodriguez was in AAA Columbus with the Indians last year, hit like 17 home runs. I think he's like a utility guy. Can play second, though, might start at second. At this point, Tigers are so desperate. I mean, they might have to put you and I. I mean, like we've talked about jokingly, but it's funny you brought up Amarista. You know what I just thought of now?
What's that?
The Little Ninja thing. Because now we're never going to forget that.
Exactly.
We'll always remember that guy because of Little Ninja. And I'm the real Little Ninja here, by the way.
And the 3 outfielders that were invited, Jim Aducci, Chad Huffman, and Jason Krizan.
Aducci's back. I like Aducci.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
He was a doozy at times. Last year to watch.
Do you feel like maybe there was an omission? I think a couple people had noted that there's a couple big omissions maybe that did not get invited.
Well, I think you invited enough people there. I mean, you mentioned Brian Pena, who we love, and I think Ronnie Rodriguez is the hottest item. I mean, I keep hearing about his name left and right. I don't know much about him. Like I said, I know last year he had a good year in AAA Columbus with the Indians. They let him walk because they don't need him because they're so good, but a bad team like the Tigers could have put him to use. Maybe make him look good at second base this season.
Okay. So, any thoughts about Alex Faedo? Is he probably the likely candidate if he does have a solid spring, maybe even to earn a spot?
I think he's got a future, huge-time future with the Tigers. The thing is, I mean, for those young guys like Alex Faedo, I mean, you don't really worry about them making the big league club out of spring camp right now because they're so darn young, and they're not really going to contribute big time anyways if they make it. It's better for them to develop in the minors, especially a guy that was just drafted. Alex Faedo was just the first rounder in last year's amateur draft. So you don't want to rush him to the bigs. Now, they want to see any of those big-ticket guys, blue chippers. He's a blue-chip prospect. You know what that means. Top-tier prospects are blue-chip prospects. Alex Faedo is that. So you want to kind of see what he's worth. Maybe he really lights it up, and because they're so darn bad, they let him make the big league club out of spring camp. But to a large degree, you don't care about those guys being excluded from the invite list. Others that were left off the invite list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our first time out. We'll come back. We've talked about it in years past. A lot of fans, a lot of organizations have kind of rallied to really try and get Major League Baseball to extend the netting. And we'll discuss the news that broke regarding the netting at Major League Baseball ballparks coming up right after this.
And Doc, as you know, we love the Detroit Sports Commission, and I get paid as a result of it. So I even love the Detroit Sports Commission more right now. And guess what, Doc and everybody out there? Since 2001, the Detroit Sports Commission has applied its expert touch to marketing and to selling the Metro Detroit area as a marquee destination for regional, national, and even international amateur sporting events. And through the Detroit Sports Commission's help, these events have attracted thousands of visitors and pumped millions of dollars into our local economy. It is why Detroit is now not only the place where champions are made, but also the place where championships are played. To find out more about the Detroit Sports Commission and all of the events they are bringing to our very region, please follow the DSC on Twitter and on Instagram at DET Sports. And make sure to check out their fine website at DetroitSports.org. Back here on Tigers Talk, and it's the first of the month, right, for this podcast, I believe. And you said before the break about expanded netting. Now, who's talked about that before? You and I both, but I know I have been adamant about that because I'll tell you the truth, still to this day, and I've talked about this recently because of this expanded netting and this becoming an issue before the expansion of the netting at all 30 Major League Baseball ballparks. I had thought to myself, and I've talked about this, that I don't like sitting that close to the ball field because of the lack of netting presence in recent memory and over the years, just in the history of Major League Baseball at these ballparks, including specifically Comerica Park. Always made me scared to sit really up close. Some individuals don't care and just love sitting up close, especially if you're a hardcore baseball fan, or if you don't go to many games, or once again, if you're a hardcore fan and you go to many games. You just like sitting up close and getting that up close feel. I don't care much about that, but now with the expanded netting, this has been a long time coming, and maybe I will sit a little bit closer, sit behind the dugout, closer to the dugout at least. And with this expansion of netting, by the way, just to clarify, it now will reach the furthest part of each dugout, the home dugout and the visitors' dugout at Comerica in all 30 Major League Baseball ballparks.
Yeah, Vito, I think it was one of those issues where the outcry from fans, the constant scenes of people getting hurt. I mean, my nephew saw a young girl get, it wasn't a situation where I don't think the netting would have helped, but we were watching a game and a foul ball went into the stands, I think a little bit behind home plate, and went above the netting and hit a girl right in the back. And thank goodness it didn't hit her in the face or anything, but luckily she got medical attention right away, and he kept wondering, like, what happened? And because she was, I think, facing, she was being held by her dad and she was facing the other way, she got hit in the back. Reporters have done studies, they've done investigations, and it's really hard for fans to react when a ball is struck that fast because pitchers are now throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour. A foul ball can reach somebody in like 0.1 second. And so even though people will always say, the ones that were against it will always say, look, you got to be off your phone, you got to pay attention, you can't be slamming beers on keg night, to you.
Yeah. I guess you couldn't have keg night because of that. I didn't think of that part of it.
Right. And so you got to pay attention, and in a game of baseball, there is risk. Now, I am for the netting, but I felt like the Tigers had done pretty much a decent job. I have yet to see what it's going to potentially look like. From my position for where I like to sit at Comerica Park, my favorite spot is in the 300 section, row 1 or 2. So not in the 100 section, but just in the upper.
Now,
those are good seats. You can get it for like $20, and you can see the whole field. You're up a little bit. So for me, when I go to games, I usually sit in the bleachers, or I will tend to sit in the 300 sections right around third base. And that way you can see all the pitchers, you can see all the balls and strike calls, you can see pretty much everything. And it's pretty cost-effective in terms of you can get to your seat pretty easily. I like the upper deck. I like the fact that you can walk right down and get the concessions right or left. The bathroom's really close in that section. So that's usually where I sit. If you want to see the dock, I sit in the 300 sections right there along the third baseline, first, second row, or things like that.
So if you want to get your autograph, then we know where to find you. Also, for my season tickets that I just bought, the 4-game package, we're sitting in the 320-something, 330-something section, so up far away from the ball field. But the thing is, it's a nice, beneficial bird's eye view, right? I mean, you can see the whole entire ball field, so I like it better up there myself. And then you don't have to worry about those foul balls just coming off the bat at light speed. Because I don't like that as well. Because like you said, you noted it yourself, Doc. These pitchers are throwing it so hard, 95 to 100 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour plus, that when they come off the bat, these balls, they are coming at rapid speeds that you can't react to. And time to make a play, to get out of the way of the ball, to avoid the ball coming at you. They are screaming line drives off the bat of these major league hitters. So I just don't like being that close because of that. Now, also, I want to make a quick quip at you. You said that you don't like really sitting in the 100 section, down close. Now, is that because of the price, too, of those tickets at times, or no? And especially now, and because the product's not that great, I mean, why are you going to spend, right? I mean, realistically, even for me, that's why I sit up there, too. I mean, it's not just, because I just made the diatribe about how I don't like it because it's so close and I'm afraid of a foul ball. even though I play baseball, but also the price, too, does come into account. It does.
See, Vito, you got to pay attention more to the podcast. If you remember that scout that we had that came
way
on the
back.
podcast?
Yes.
So with that said, I'm not going to reveal my sources, but
But you have sources.
Yeah, I have people. Okay,
Peeps.
So remember what I taught you early on in this podcast. You got to have peeps, and so what that means is, in terms of your home, if something breaks down in your home, you got to have a person to fix it. If you're not that handy, well, in terms of in town, when you meet people and you come across individuals and you know what they do for a living and things like that, you got to develop relationships. And one of the, when people tell us, how important it is, it's also important in the ticket game. Meaning, if I want to go to Comerica Park and sit right behind home plate, I can, and I won't have to pay anything. Okay, so meaning.
Oh wow! So you're saying
Yes.
you're flashing your credentials pretty much to
I know
individuals
people.
that can give you the tickets.
I
and
know
the
people,
access.
and now it's not every game, but if I want
But
to,
after you will, and you do.
It's not like I can go to the Yankees game or the Boston. But if you want to go against the Twins, or you want to go against the White Sox or teams that are not that like in high demand, then I can go pretty much and sit anywhere in Comerica Park.
So you've got a ticket guy.
I have
per
a guy.
se. You have
I
a
have a
guy,
guy.
a ticket guy.
Exactly. And
Okay.
But for me, I don't like calling up peeps and calling in favors every now and then. What I like to do is just, a couple times a year, go to 3-4 games, take the nephew, take the wife, and then maybe for someone's birthday or for an outing just to hang out. My wife's company has an outing at Comerica Park, so I'm there about 4 or 5 times a year, and that's pretty much it in general because I like going to the bar. I like watching it from my home. But in terms of ticket guys, Vito, it's very important. You should develop relationships with people that get tickets because, you don't want to be paying. Exactly, I don't want to pay $75 to sit behind, home plate or whatever the price is. I don't even know what the price is, to be honest. I don't know what the price is.
We don't know.
I don't know what the price is.
We're not high rollers like that.
No, I don't.
So it sounds like maybe your wife's company is the source of these nice tickets that you get
Listen,
for
Vito,
certain games.
You're a journalist.
I'm digging a little bit here.
I don't reveal my sources.
I know you're not. Well, I'm going to look into it a little bit.
And
maybe
it
right
might not
now.
be just one, Vito. Come on, you got to remember
outside of that. Okay, so
there
outside
could
of
be-
that one source, yeah.
there could be ticket guys with an S.
Guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
See,
You have ticket guys.
you got to have relationships. You got to have relationships, Vito, and you got to have a ticket guy. You got to have somebody that that you can call up, or potentially speaking, if you want to reveal a little bit, you trade services here and there based upon like, hey, maybe a tweet here and there. could
Yeah,
get
you give them something, they give us something.
Yeah,
They rub
exactly.
your back, we rub their back, right?
Or Vito, when you strike up a conversation with somebody at a bar, hey, what do you do? Oh, da-da-da. Are you a season ticket holder? Yeah, I got 4 tickets behind home plate. Or,
You
I
want to
got-
take me? I don't got friends.
One of the ways I can share with
Uh-huh.
you, Vito, one of the ways you get tickets is a lot of people buy 2 or 3 tickets with their companies, okay? And what they do is they don't go to all the games because
No.
they give them away.
Yep.
And so you develop relationships with those people and you say to yourself, oh, okay. And you become on the list where if they want to dump a ticket and they have nobody else, you maybe get the opportunity to go for free when nobody else is offering to buy a Thursday game versus Minnesota, a getaway game. They can give those tickets away. That's my public service announcement. That's one way you can do it. But getting back to the netting,
Yes.
I think it's fair. As long as you save lives and you make the experience better, you can't be giving out all these millions of dollars to the fans because of the fact that balls are flying in there. And there's been a couple high-profile situations in Detroit and nationally as well where it's been revealed that the Tigers didn't do nothing. Basically, they didn't even call. They didn't even check in on the fan and things like that. And it's really unfortunate because if a patron is at your ballpark and they get hurt, and you don't even make a phone call, you don't even have the time to lob a phone call to the fan that got hurt, and this woman was seriously injured. It's unfortunate. It's not right.
That's pitiful. And the optics of that
It's not right. But, Vito,
are
remember,
not good.
the reason why it happens is we are a litigious society. If they lob a call, that can be used by an attorney for the lady as an admission of guilt. Cha-ching, bada bing.
Got ya.
So
Okay.
the stance always is cover your ass. And unfortunately, companies have to do it, but it's not right. It's not human. But I understand.
No,
I
it's
understand
not.
why they do it because if you lob a phone call, admission of guilt, now you got to pay her disability. You got to pay her, $4 or $5 million or whatever the lawsuit she throws out there entails. So it's not right, but it's a business, and you can't be giving away tens of millions of dollars because that's how you go broke.
Moving on to something else. Let's end this week's episode with this. A projection for Michael Fulmer. Now, do you remember how many wins he actually ended up with?
Was it 14?
Less.
Uh-huh.
He's never recorded 14 wins. Now, 10 wins this past season. 10 and 12. I see him racking up the L's as well because of the state of the Tigers ball club in 2018. I'm going to say 14 losses, 10 and 14. And now for his ERA, more importantly, his FIP, you look at his FIP, it was below 3.7, 3.67 in 2017, above 3.7 in 2016, his rookie and Rookie of the Year campaign. So 3.76 in that Rookie of the Year campaign. I think it ends up somewhere in the middle, his FIP and his ERA. And I'm going to say 3.70, which is actually what baseballreference.com predicted. So I guess I'm just using their, statistical projection. But I really do believe that. And they projected him for 10 wins as well, like I'm doing. So I'm pretty much stealing everything from baseballreference.com.
Okay.
I'll just say that. I'll admit it. Hey, I'm admitting it at least. Yeah.
That's
how about
fair.
you? How many wins? How many losses? And how about an ERA prediction for Michael Fulmer?
I think he'll have an improved season. I do think that if he stays healthy and he gets a number of starts and he has the opportunity to play with the Detroit Tigers, he has the it factor where the team's going to probably play really well behind him. I do believe his ERA will be maybe around 3.8, and I think that he'll have 13 wins and 9 losses. I think a 13-9 season, and I do believe he'll have an improved arsenal. He'll definitely be an individual that's a contributor to the team, but probably will not live up to the hype around him because of the fact the team's going to suck. And there probably will be opportunities where he could get wins later in innings, but in the 7th, 8th, 9th innings, the bullpen, if as constructed, might not be as good and might blow some saves.
Anthony Fennick, by the way, tweeted out last week that Michael Fulmer looks really good already. He said in this tweet last week, I should let you guys know that I watched Michael Fulmer throw a bullpen session this morning and that he threw like Michael Fulmer. A great sign for Tigers fans.
Good sign.
Maybe he gets to 13 to 15 victories. But that's the most optimistic point of view to take. Now, you brought up Arsenal. His Arsenal might look really good, be improved, and it's been good before. I thought of the guy that used as a reference of the art of pitching, and it brought my mind to broadcasting news and notes. And for the Tigers Fox Sports Detroit broadcasting booth, it's going to stay the same.
Major changes?
Do you like it?
What?
Yeah.
Did you just utter they're not changing nothing?
They're not changing. No changes.
Gibby's still
What do you
going to
think?
be...
Gibby's going to call a few, not a ton, and Rod Allen will call the most of the games with Mario and Pemba. So you're not liking the fact that what? What don't you like about what I just said, by the way?
Well, with all due respect, I respect Kirk Gibson, but as a broadcaster, man, he just puts me to sleep. He's monotone, and sometimes it's just, I'm not, you know what, in terms of the broadcast, I'm more of a radio guy now.
Are you?
So I tune into the
You like the
ticket.
art of pitching guy, Jim Price.
Yes, I like the radio. I like the fact that a little bit Fox Sports Detroit is way overly positive on the television
Well,
side.
they have to be.
I know, but it's way over
You
the
think
top.
so?
Oh my gosh.
I think Rod Allen.
to
And
be-
Pemba's more balanced than Rod Allen, at least.
To be honest, Vito, a singular individual that's kind of turned me off to kind of watching on television is Craig Monroe. Hey, stay positive. Hey, stay this and that. And it's so over the top
It is.
that it's hard to believe that he's being realistic. And sometimes you don't have to be critical. You don't have to be blasting the team and riding them each and every game. But when the Tigers stunk it up last year, he was on the stay positive train, stay positive, and it was just really hard to listen to as a fan because it's not realistic.
Yeah, it
the
was.
team sucked.
It was way too much of that positivity from him.
Yeah, stay positive. And he kind of then would come on the air and attack fans and be like, what are you guys talking about? Let's stay positive. We got to rally and things like that. It's like, no, Craig, we want to be realistic. And if you're watching a team blow save after save, or you're watching a team that's underachieving, and you're watching Brad Ausmus make mistake after mistake, call it like you see it. And the one individual who I also have a great amount of respect for is Matt Shepard. And he would be in there poking and prodding and speaking like a fan would speak and asking the right questions. And then Simo would always just give the slanted positive angle. It just came off as irritating. So I really enjoy muting the TV, turning up the ticket, and enjoying some Major League Baseball that way. Or sometimes I won't even watch the television at all. I'll just sit out in the garage, throw back a couple Coronas or Coors Light, and listen to a game via the radio platform. It's probably one of the more enjoyable ways of listening to a Tigers game.
Dickerson's really good, and I haven't told you. I'm going to try to get Dickerson on this podcast.
Hey.
Revealing some breaking news. I might have a source that can get him on these
All
airwaves,
right.
so
All
I know
good.
you'll enjoy that.
Yes, I will.
Really quick. Simo, it's always all good.
It's all good.
I think the last 2 seasons, what's really funny about him is that he has said the Tigers will come back and win the division. I know 2 years ago for sure he said that the Tigers would catch up to the Indians. They never even came close. 2 years ago even. And he thought, they're going to make the playoffs. This guy, man, I think he's more worried at times about where he's going out to in that given night and going to Royal Oak where I see him. I've told you stories about him where I've seen him in Royal Oak. So he's more worried about the party life than about being critical of the Tigers when the time calls for being critical about the Tigers, which I bet the opportunities for that will be plentiful in 2018. I'll just say that much here, Doc.
You got it. All right, Vito, let's get out of here. Always enjoy the conversation. Thanks for the laughs. It was really funny. You are earning your status as the highest paid podcaster in Metro Detroit. Very good stuff, sir.
Very good stuff from you, Doc. Great talking to you. Have a great week, everybody out there. And we'll talk to you next week for another fine episode of the podcast.
And if you've enjoyed this podcast, definitely check out the rest of the week's lineup at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Follow Vito at Vito Jerome, or you can follow the network, the most interactive, I guarantee it, the most interactive Detroit Sports Twitter page out there. If you find one that's more interactive than us, then shoot me a message and call me out, because I know not everybody's reading all the tweets that come in or responding or liking or engaging with the fans as much as the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. We appreciate your support.